welcome to Reef Zoo. We are here to evaluate this meerkat enclosure. The meerkat is scientifically known as Suricata suricata and is categorised into 4 different subspecies, all originating from different locations.
This particular species is found in South Africa, for example the Kalahari Desert, and ranges in colour from brown to orange. In the wild they often live in groups of up to 40 called mobs or gangs, and the size of a meerkat can range from 25 to 30 centimetres and they weigh approximately up to 1 kilogram.
When keeping an animal in captivity, it is important that the regulations and legislation is followed. For example, the Animal Welfare Act 2006 provides us with 5 basic freedoms which must be followed in order to create a sustainable environment for the animal. Size is a significant feature. The outdoor area measures roughly at 8.5 metres lengthways and 8.3 metres widthways. This is the indoor area here. It measures roughly at 3 metres widthways and 3.5 metres lengthways.
Few management guidelines will give a prescriptive minimum size of an enclosure, as the complexity of enclosure is more important than the metres squared. For example, the ability to get physically and visually away from the public and other individuals may be important. Although some guidelines can be basic and far from their natural habitats, it would be extremely difficult to replicate the actual size of their natural habitat. In our opinion, we would prefer this enclosure to be extended because it's only basic. However, the size of the group, they do not actually require the extra space.
The barriers present at this zoo are concrete walls and are built around the outdoor area. They measure on average at a height of 1.2 metres tall and are tall enough to ensure that the enclosure is secure. This barrier can be cleaned effectively to ensure that disease is controlled. Due to being made of concrete and not wood, it will not rot or linger any diseases. Meerkats are usually able to see very far distances of land within their natural environments, which may cause a stressor due to only being able to see as far as the wall goes, which creates a short distance of vision. Small amounts of glass can be used for the meerkats to see further, although the wall, on the other hand, helps to encourage them to climb higher ground using the enrichment provided for a greater visual distance to look out for predators.
Outdoor enclosures can increase rain threats, which could make tunnels and burrows collapse and can be danger to the species, especially the young. For this reason, it is important that they have the option to go indoors, which is in there. One problem with the indoor enclosure, however, is the lack of natural substrates, where by providing sawdust, the meerkats are unable to burrow, dig and forage. Although the meerkats are unable to express the natural behaviours, this substrate and layout of the indoor area ensures that disease control is carried out effectively, as the area is easy to clean and disinfect.
Yeah, you can.
Due to naturally foraging for food, enclosures should provide soft substrates such as compact sand in order to carry out natural behaviours. If grounds were hard, such as concrete, meerkats would automatically forage the ground, causing damage to claws, nails and feet, which is why providing a substrate which helps mimic natural behaviours is extremely important. Meerkats use this substrate to dig underground tunnels to increase chances of finding foods and also as a survival mechanism in the wild. An elaborate construction of multiple entrances is to provide many alternative exits if a predator should invade their home. Providing these substrates ensure that these natural behaviours can be carried out sufficiently. Having an outdoor enclosure ensures that they feel within their natural environment and feel as they can be predated on, which helps to encourage natural behaviours being carried out.
Meerkats prefer soft sand for foraging for food, but prefer compact sand to build their burrows, which would collapse if they use the softer sands. In this enclosure they reside on dirt, as you can see there, which is still a sustainable form of substrate for them, but it's not 100% natural compared to their natural habitat. and for visitors in the zoo as well, because they would expect the sand substrate. And we think it would be more natural for them to have a combination of sand and dirt. Environmental enrichment is defined as an improvement in the biological functioning of captive animals resulting from modifications to their environment. Evidence of improved biological functioning could include increased lifetime, reproductive success, increased inclusive fitness, or a correlate of these, such as improved health. Potential methods include presenting foods in ways that stimulate foraging behaviours and dividing enclosures into different functional areas. Failure to consider the effects of development factors and previous experience can produce poor results. Environmental enrichment is controlled by financial costs, time demands on caretakers, and the research that needs to be constructed. In enclosure, logs are used as the main form of enrichment. They allow the meerkats to tunnel through them and also increases foraging behaviours because the keepers scatter feed them insects which can then hide in the logs and increase foraging behaviours for the meerkat. The logs also allow them to have a sentry, and this is important because meerkats would always have a sentry in the wild. And the ground is also raked over as this produces fresh scents for them and digging opportunities.
To increase chances of survival in the wild, meerkats commonly carry out guarded behaviours within the group. This is done during foraging, where one meerkat will climb to the top of the highest sector of land and will stand tall on both hind legs and keep a lookout for predators overhead and on land. To maximise chances of the species' survival. Due to this, providing enrichment which provides high vantage points is important to encouraging natural behaviours, as shown in the high vantage point over here. Here the meerkat enclosure provided with dozens of logs, wood and sculptures and branches to mimic the dried out desert enrichment found in the wild and provides areas to climb on.
We believe that there could be more activities for the meerkats to take part in, but the ones they currently have are sufficient for them. Examples of other enrichments will be shown in the upcoming pictures.
One aspect of providing good standards of welfare include allowing the species to exhibit natural behaviours to minimise stress and to decrease the risk of unnatural and stereotypical behaviours occurring. When sleeping, meerkats would sleep in chambers roughly 6 to 8 feet underground. To ensure that the temperature levels are constant, such as warmer in the winter and cooler in the summer, the meerkats have a sleeping area which is level or above ground, which is shown in this indoor area here, in this specific enclosure. Sleeping chambers would usually be smaller and slightly compact to ensure warmth in the wild. To increase natural behavioural impact, sleeping areas could be incorporated slightly in the ground with an underground tunnel as an entrance and exit point for them. At Wolford Animal Collection, the heated meerkat hut or sleeping chamber is buried partly underground, including an above entrance for keepers, with underground entrances and exits for the species to express natural sleeping behaviours effectively. As meerkats are particularly sensitive to the cold, so providing a heat lamp and rest area, as seen in the indoor enclosure on the photo, can ensure that the meerkats are receiving warmth required to the species. The enclosure is extremely accessible to visitors. There are many different aspects of the enclosure to be seen in different areas, such as the side aspect, the window and the front. The species are easily visualised in their enclosure. A ramp is provided which is accessible to wheelchair users, which is here. The enclosure provides educational aspects for visitors. These include information boards at both aspects of the enclosure, at the side and at the front. Signage is used around the enclosure for safety of the visitors and health, safety and welfare of the meerkat. These signs include no sitting on the wall, washing your hands before leaving the enclosure, permitted staff only points, and no feeding signs.
The health and safety of keepers while at work is of the utmost importance. The UK Health and Safety Executive has produced a summary document detailing the necessary steps that should be considered and measures that should be employed by zoo operators to ensure safe working conditions. Much like the Secretary of State Standards of Modern Zoo Practice, this document, Managing Health and Safety in Zoos, outlines the measures that zoos should take to adhere to the relevant legislation, especially the Health and Safety at Work Act 1974. An inspection of the zoo's health and safety standards will take place at the same time as the zoo licensing inspection.
The only possible hazard we can identify is where the cleaning implements are stored when not being used. They are currently stored inside the doorway as you enter the enclosure, and this could cause trip and hazard. These cleaning implements are located down this area, around the back of the entrance of the enclosure. The enclosure is, however, safety conscious when considering the double door system, the height of the enclosure walls, the gate and small door in the bedding area, and the position of the logs. By being in the middle of the enclosure, this prevents trip hazards when entering and walking around it.
This enclosure to that of West Midlands Safari Park, it shows that this enclosure could be improved slightly, but it is better in other ways. We believe it could be improved by having a more sand-based substrate and a slightly larger area for them to roam around in. A benefit of this enclosure is that it has areas that they can hide away from visitors, whereas the safari park doesn't.
We believe that the enclosure from the Australian Zoo to be suitable for small gang of meerkats due to it being a good size. There is a good lookout area for the meerkats and there is a good amount of cover. The only addition, we would like to make more logs like the enclosure of Lucy.
The enclosure in Germany relates to issues such as it is quite bare and could benefit from some more enrichment. Another issue is that the walls are mostly made from glass, which gives the meerkats less places to hide from visitors.